Well, that's funny you mentioned that, Vlad, because that leads me to my other point is another important reason to retrofit is non-standard equipment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't care what brand you have, what model you have, if 90% of your plant is one thing, that 10%, the cost is going to be much higher on because you can train all your technicians for one item and they can be really good at troubleshooting it. But you're going to have those few odd items and you're only going to have one or two people that are going to be capable of working on them. And so it's going to be like, well, Johnny's on vacation this week and, you know, I guess we're going to have to call in the third shift guy. So another reason, you may have a perfectly operating machine, and I've even seen this happen with new machines. Unfortunately, I've seen it happen with one of mine even, is I just put the wrong PLC in. And right away, they're like, nah, can't deal with that. And so for training purposes, to keep everything streamlined and, you know, keep it where all their technicians can work on everything, you know, sometimes you just change out a perfectly good piece of equipment.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point, right? And I think like Tim, again, I would say from my experience, the whole concept of standardization is very, I would say like subtle, right? Some plants have a good grasp on bringing in like only one vendor for their control systems. For example, you know, in North America, it's going to be your Allen Bradley. But then there's going to be plants that bring in like a hodgepodge of systems. And again, it's not necessarily just the plant's fault, but it's also the equipment manufacturers that come from, you know, different parts of the world. So they will stick whatever in their machinery and not be flexible enough to develop it on, let's say, Allen Bradley. So you have your, like now your Siemens, Omron, Mitsubishi, and just these like five platforms across your plant floor. And I think that like brings in its own challenges, not even because of the retrofits per se, but also from like a learning standpoint. And for me personally, I've actually used this as a red flag during like interviews, right? When you show up to a plant and they have these five platforms and they're looking for someone to figure it out, I know that it's going to be a very, very difficult undertaking. But I certainly can appreciate from a retrofit standpoint as well. It must be very difficult.
Yeah, one a local plant here, I used to say if you wanted the maximum experience and the broadest number of products, go get a job there. And they had, I mean, their turnaround time on technicians or their average, I guess,
Yeah.
time that they were employed there was 6 months.
Wow.
I mean, which is unbelievable. And so when they started just, all right, let's pick one and start getting rid of the furthest outliers. Because really, that was the technician's complaints. It's like, you know, every day it's a whole different controller. And it's cool if it's a whole different challenge, but you know, today you know, I'm fighting the Siemens thing. Next day I'm fighting this Mitsubishi thing. Now I'm fighting this Allen Bradley thing. Now I got this thing over here I've never even seen that came from some place, you know, that has some custom controller in it. And yeah, that they got some happy technicians now that they've kind of streamlined it into one.